What if the thing you hate was what kept animals alive here? Rangers, camera traps, cash, and one controversial idea: controlled hunting. Be patient with me for the next few minutes, and I will guide you through how money from hunting funds rangers, provides jobs, and asks a challenging question: can hunting be a conservation tool? It seems impossible, but here in Limpopo, it's happening in ways most people never see. Recently, less than 100 years ago, poaching and conversion pushed these landscapes out. Humans lost their means of living. Animals lost their habitats. But something changed, and that change started with value. When wildlife becomes an asset, a source of income, local people get a stake in keeping animals alive. That's where regulated sustainable hunting comes into play. Step 1. A hunter pays fees, significant fees, to access managed land. That money becomes reserve revenue, the operational budget for conservation on private and community land. From that revenue come three things: anti-poaching units, pay to local communities, and habitat management, things like water holes, fences, and veterinary care. On the ground, that funding means patrols, equipment, and wages for people who otherwise might take up poaching, and an incentive for game farmers not to sell their land. Put simply, money creates conservation jobs. Those jobs create incentives to protect wildlife rather than convert land to crops or livestock. We visited a privately managed block in Limpopo. Thousands of hectares where regulated hunting is part of the land use mix.
If we didn't have this income, the owner would plow for maize or run cattle. That destroys habitat. Hunting helps us keep the land wild.
Controlled hunts are licensed, quota-based, and recorded. That record-keeping is the difference between regulated use and illegal killing. Revenue is often invested back into the local community. Clinics, schools, water systems, and occasional meat distribution for families in need. Sustainable programs are based on monitoring, population surveys, age and sex selection rules, and strict quotas. Managers typically target older surplus males, avoid removing breeding females, and track genetics and numbers to avoid overharvest. When rules are followed, harvested animals are a small fraction of the total population, allowing the rest to reproduce and maintain healthy numbers. Across private reserves, areas that could have been plowed for crops are kept wild, and species have returned where habitat was protected. These are not isolated incidents. Camera traps and field monitoring show real rebounds in many regions where wildlife-based economies exist. According to conservation scientist Amy Dickman and her co-authors, trophy hunting does play a positive role when it is well regulated. Good Governance Africa, Dr. Ross Harv.
When governance is strong and transparent, hunting revenue becomes a powerful conservation tool. It helps protect vital habitats, supports local livelihoods, and funds anti-poaching patrols that keep wildlife safe. In these well-managed areas, responsible hunting doesn't harm nature. It helps sustain it.
Good practice checks 4 boxes: science-guided quotas, real benefits for communities, transparent anti-poaching spending, and independent audits. When locals benefit, they become the best guardians. That is the core idea. Value creates stewardship. If you want the studies and agencies we referenced, check the description for links. Hit like if you learned something unexpected. Can you guess which African antelope was saved from extinction? By hunting. Tune in next time to find out. Subscribe for more evidence-based stories from Africa, and share this so the debate stays honest. From Limpopo, keep the debate honest and keep the land wild.